This is the fourth part of a series on the 7 deadly sins. The topic for this week is lust. Even though there are many facets to lust, today we are going to talk primarily about sexual lust because the other forms of lust are easily covered when discussing topics like greed, for instance. Lust is kind of a different animal between men and women. Men tend to have a very difficult time dealing with lust in contrast to most women. So let's discuss what Jesus had to say about the subject. Why did Jesus add this statement to the Old Testament command to not commit adultery? For those of you who are not completely clear on what adultery is, it is having sex outside of marriage of any kind. And, think about it. We'll come back to this in a minute. We were created by God as sexual beings, and the desire within us for sex is from God as well. But what God had created to be good and perfect, the devil twists and perverts to lead us away from God, away from God's perfect plan for us, which was to enjoy sex with our spouse and live a beautiful life with God included in the marriage. No guilt, no shame. To lust after anyone other than one's spouse is sinful, and to add insult to injury, the shame and guilt or even addiction damage our relationship with God. It often drives us, to avoid God or to even try to hide from Him. There are many biblical stories of lust, from the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to King David and Bathsheba, and several accounts of incest, sexual gluttony, and polygamy scattered throughout. Lust is nothing new. It is even possible lust was the straw that broke the camel's back for Satan. It is alluded to in Genesis and documented in the book of Enoch that Satan and his angel buddies were kicked out of heaven for lusting after and possibly even mating with human women in the era before the flood. Now that we have briefly explored lust in the Bible, let's go back to what Jesus said. Why is it not enough to abstain from adultery outwardly, but Jesus says we are also to abstain from adultery in our thoughts as well? I'll put it to you this way. Have you ever seen an ad on TV for your favorite food? I'll use Taco Bell, for example. And then after a few minutes of thinking about it, you couldn't resist the urge and you hopped in the car to get your hands on some of those tacos. Well, anyone who's ever been on a diet, I'm sure you can certainly relate to this. Our mind is a powerful thing. Most of the time, where the mind leads, the body eventually follows. Jesus knew this, and this is why he expanded on, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." He was trying to tell us that we all need to put a leash on where our mind tries to take us. Jesus was human and knew firsthand how the human mind works. We need to be in control of our thoughts instead of our thoughts controlling us. This is the core understanding behind the problem of lust. In our time, lust has become widely accepted and even encouraged in TV, movies, and music. With internet, people have more access to pornography than ever before. This is having a snowball effect in leading to sex addiction. The more people expose themselves to pornography, the greater their epidemic of sex addiction is becoming. It is tearing apart marriages and families and destroying lives at an alarming rate. I personally know of at least 3 marriages destroyed by the internet porn, in the last 3 years. So, the point I'm trying to make is we all need to take this problem seriously. We need to be in control of our thoughts as well as our actions, because our thoughts lead to our actions. You need to stop letting your mind wander freely when it comes to lust. And now for the flip side. Yes, we all need to be responsible for controlling our lustful thoughts, but we also need to not be leading others into temptation as well. I admit, nowadays this is a very controversial concept. Where do we draw the line with our clothing or our actions? Many years ago, this was not a big issue. Women wore several layers of clothing up to their necks and down to their ankles, and non-married couples were often accompanied by a chaperone. And currently in the Middle Eastern countries, this is taken to an abusive extreme. Women are required to cover their whole body, head and face as well. So the point is, in dealing with the issue of lust, we are all responsible for controlling our own thoughts. But we are also responsible, within reason, for not leading others into temptation with the way we dress or act. Everyone has different beliefs regarding what is appropriate clothing. And, I'm simply stating that we all need to be aware of how our dress and our actions affect others when it comes to lust. And one final thought. I beg all of you, parents and mentors out there, talk with your teenagers regarding this topic of lust when it comes to their clothing choices and behavior. What they don't know and understand about the urges of the opposite sex can really hurt and endanger them, especially young girls. And as adults, some of us need to be reminded of this as well. So that's it for today, short and sweet. Pray about it if this is an issue in your life. If you're addicted, get help. Take it seriously. So God bless you. We'll catch up with you next week.